Hi, everybody. Welcome to a very special episode of Oscar Sunday. I'm Connor Eyzaguirre,
I'm Josh Allred.
and that is not the name you probably expected to hear this week. This is Josh's debut Oscar Sunday. Austin is out this week, taking a little road trip. Hope he's having a great time. And yeah, Josh graciously agreed to help me host this one this week and brought a really cool 50s Western to the show, 1954's Broken Lance, starring Spencer Tracy and a very young Robert Wagner. This was an interesting film. I had never heard of this one or seen this before, and it was intriguing. So, what's your history with this film? Why'd you bring this to Oscar Sunday?
So, first of all, I'd like to say thank you for allowing me to grace this gracious, wonderful, delightful, highbrow podcast with my decidedly lowbrow ass. It's wonderful. I don't mind punching above my weight. As far as this movie goes, my first experience with it was back in film school, and it was at a time where I was getting exposed to a lot of things that I wouldn't normally watch on my own. Fun fact about me, my grandfather is a huge John Wayne fan. So I found myself kind of passively watching some John Wayne movies as I was growing up. So Westerns aren't like that strange to me. And once I really got a love for film in general, you start to kind of understand, the importance of directors like John Ford and, John Wayne, Jimmy Stewart, a lot of these actors that played in this genre, and how some of these movies are really, really good. And their influence also like had an impact in Europe. So, if I had to pick like a favorite, I guess, style of Westerns, it's spaghetti Westerns all day long. I just love what the Italians do with them. And I mean, without them, you wouldn't have Clint Eastwood. So, it Broken Lance was kind of introduced to me as kind of a landmark in, classic Hollywood cinema, where you had up to that point, a lot of movies were not really doing a whole lot of location stuff. I mean, movies were still shot on location, but they weren't presented in the way that they were with Broken Lance. And one of the so what I like to do when I'm getting ready to watch a movie is I'll post a poster from the movie I'm watching, and I'll put it up on Instagram and Twitter, kind of just, letting whoever's looking at my stuff, let them into what I'm watching. And the poster I found for Broken Lance broadcasted that it was in CinemaScope, which at the time was the predecessor to what we now know as like, widescreen and traditional like cinematic presentation. A lot of that wasn't happening before then. So it was like one of the first movies that was shot in widescreen, and I made a remark to you about it, that the landscapes in this movie, at times you kind of have to take a really hard look because they do look like mats. And I really appreciated it from that angle. And then actually watching the movie, I was like, wow, like this is actually a pretty good story. And there were also some social issues that were getting brought to the table in 1954 that you wouldn't expect from a Hollywood movie. So that was something I've really noticed more this time around, and I actually enjoyed it a lot more for that.
Yeah, I appreciated this wasn't just another stuffed shirt John Wayne movie, because I've seen enough of those. Especially in the 50s, Westerns were kind of just churned out like on a conveyor belt. There wasn't a lot of, there were the occasional standouts, but for the most part, there was a formula that was followed. And Broken Lance definitely stepped out of that, and I appreciated that big time. The stuff with Katie Hirado and the Indian princess stuff, it wasn't done. It was, she's a Mexican actress playing Native Americans are already there. I'm like, it's muddy, but it is way more progressive than other films were being. And it did address the issue of like, well, where does she stand in this family? Where does her son stand? Like, is he equal to the rest of these white kids? And yeah, I was into it. It was cool. And Spencer Tracy is just fucking lights out. He's one of the greatest character actors who ever lived. Definitely through this show, I've really gotten to know his work and appreciate it. And this is just another feather in the cap. Yeah, Matt Devereaux, just a hard ass cattle rancher who takes shit from nobody. It's awesome. I love seeing him just take people to task for fucking with his way of life.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, totally. It kind of takes that real American story of an immigrant coming over to America, even though he was probably like maybe second generation, and then like him just like making his own fortune and finding a way to work with rather than against the indigenous people in that area, and him appreciating the people there for what they knew and how they lived. And really, even though it was still kind of set up in a very like rich white man hierarchy where he was the boss and he had other people of color working for him, he still respected them and he still cared for them, probably more than you would have seen in other Westerns where they just would have been like, oh, you're the dumb Indian people or you're the dumb Mexican people that work on my ranch. He had an actual like relationship and genuine affection for them.
Yeah, he did. And it is very different from things we've seen in that time. Like I think of just 2 years later, The Searchers.
Yep.
Probably John Wayne's quintessential Western, the one everyone gets, has to watch in film class. Good movie, but very much takes a, us versus them, white versus native approach to relations of that kind in the Old West, in a very dark turn. I'd like to watch that again. There's a few John Wayne movies I do really enjoy. So before we go further, I am curious, where do you stand with the Academy Awards? Like, do you think they mean anything? Do you think they're valid? Do you think they're completely full of shit? I'm very curious.
So the kind of like the punk rocker in me, the arty kid in me really doesn't care for them, because to me, you're taking a medium that is totally subjective and you are giving awards to it, which feels kind of stupid to me. And not only that, it's not decided on by the Academy or the group, the peers, the people that make the films at large. It's just all of that decision-making power is consolidated to an organization that deems something worthy, and it doesn't even consider all of the movies that get released. It's only certain movies in a certain period of time, and they're almost always very similar thematically, very similar production value wise. Like, it, not enough is done for me. Like, if you really wanted to make it something that really spoke about film overall, more genre films would be there, and they would be taken seriously. Something like horror movies would have more of an impact in there, even though still to this day horror movies are looked down on by serious film lovers, which is fucking stupid to me. Because I think, you being somebody that writes books and can understand how you can use genre as a construct to talk about themes and taboo ideas and relationships and all of these other big concepts that you can stick into a genre, have all that stuff discussed instead of putting it right in front of you, beating you over the head with it and saying, this is what I'm doing. This is my story. It just feels so pretentious to me, and I don't really care for it. Um, it just it's to me it's a waste of time, and it's a big circle jerk, if I'm really being honest.
Yeah,
Sorry, Austin.
I I welcome the honesty. I know I think Austin feels pretty much the same way. Like we've on most of these episodes, we pretty much like consistently condemn the Academy for refusing to acknowledge genre films, for refusing to acknowledge filmmakers like Wes Craven and Alfred Hitchcock, who never won anything. And it's just it's bullshit, and it's corrupt as fuck. A lot of these films make it in there due to like bribery or like shit. Like it's arbitrary, it's unnecessary, and at the end of the day, it's pretty meaningless to our enjoyment of film. Am I going to enjoy a film more because it's up for 6 Oscars? No. But I do think that the phrase Academy Award nominee or Academy Award winner does carry some cachet. And I do think that it's a good basis to kind of celebrate these films, the art in their own way, and use it as kind of a basis for what this show has become. But yeah, I'm with you on that. I get why you guys really just do not give a shit, because why would you? They're not doing anything to include you guys in the way that they vote and the way that the films that they choose. They're incredibly, exclusive, and that's not going to change. But yeah. We can just use our little corner here to kind of, try to cut through the bullshit and try to find some meaning in all this.
Yeah, and for me, like if you look at it, like movies that have a lot more of an impact and movies that are written about a lot more than anything else are genre movies, art house movies, and ones that are very hard to access on a general audience level. So those are things that'll probably almost never get picked up for Oscars and things like that. And movies that are really heavy on like technical, in a sense of like how they use the art of filmmaking in order to tell their stories and things like that, not just something that has great visual effects or whatever. I mean, all horror lovers got some validation back when Stan Winston won for American Werewolf in London, or Rick Baker, sorry. Whoa, shit, I'm about to fucking really anger some people.
I was about to catch that. I'm glad you caught it.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, Rick Baker getting that was a huge win for horror lovers, and it only makes sense because it takes a lot of work and a lot of vision and artistry to make those kinds of things happen. Whereas nowadays you don't see a lot of that, which is kind of sad because people think it's easier to just do it digitally and just kind of fool people. But viewers are much more savvy now. I mean, you can tell when they don't use real squibs for bullet hits. You can see it, and people think, oh, it's not gonna matter, and that it absolutely does matter. I think when the Academy thinks that they're smarter than everybody else and they know better than the viewers that are really consuming these things, they're really putting their foot in their mouth when they do that. And I am all about celebrating movies, period, and giving them their due. And it's one of the reasons why I went to film school, so I could understand movies a lot more and be able to explain why I do love movies like The Toxic Avenger, or why something like let's take a quick look on my shelf, why something like Motel Hell is a lot of fun, and it's actually got something in there that you don't get just by looking at it on the surface. And I think it takes a little bit of time and a little bit of patience to do that, whereas somebody just slaps Academy Award nominee or nominated for 6 Oscars, and you're like, oh, that means it's good. Like, that's not an immediate sign of quality. Sorry, it's just not.
Yeah, you're right. We've done that. We've learned that the hard way over here. Like we did an episode on Chariots of Fire, which was a huge Oscar movie, and we hated it. We thought it was boring. It had nothing to say. It beat vastly superior films for Best Picture, including Raiders of the Lost Ark. And it's just, we turned that episode into a kind of like, why? Like, why this movie? And we couldn't really figure out an answer. It's insanely arbitrary and just doesn't represent the best of the year pretty much ever. But I do feel like this year, though, we are going to get more of that than we ever have because of films like Everything Everywhere All at Once and The Whale and stuff that people actually saw and like wanted to see recognized. And I think that's going to be special.
Oh, totally. I mean, when I watched Everything Everywhere All at Once, I mean, okay, so when I saw the trailer, I was already like, yeah, this is my kind of movie. And then I watched it and I was taken on more of an emotional journey with that movie than anything I had seen that was more mainstream and accessible, whatever you want to call it. And I mean, by the end of it, I was crying. It was such a good journey that Michelle Yeoh's character went on. And I was happy for her, just like Jamie Lee Curtis was. I'm sure you've seen pictures of her like giving her whole fuck yeah. And that for me is great when somebody kind of gets that recognition. I mean, Ke Huy Quan, when he got that, it was like hearing his little acceptance speech was wonderful. A guy that I knew from my childhood and finding out how hard it was for him after that, because that very system that is validating you now was trying to put you in a box and not allow you to grow as an artist and just have a career as an actor. Instead, they're like, no, we're going to have you be the cute Asian kid in all these movies. And that's the only thing we're going to see you as. That's fucked up.
Yeah, it really is. Hollywood's such a fickle bitch. It's, we get this art out of it. We get these great movies, but we kind of have to overlook a lot of horrible shit to accept these films. And I don't like doing that. Whenever, we stumble onto that in in all of our shows, I try to point that out if I can. But yeah, I'm glad he's getting another chance. I'm glad that he's getting recognition finally for his work. And the Oscar nominations are going to be announced on Tuesday, and I'm excited to hear them. But for now, we're going back to the 27th Academy Awards, which saw Broken Lance take home a statue for Best Story for a category that no longer exists, which is kind of funny, and then a nomination for Katie Hirado for Best Supporting Actress. So those are the awards we're going to be looking at later. But right now, let's talk a little bit about Broken Lance and look into just not everybody who was up for Oscars in this film, but I do want to look at Spencer Tracy. Spencer Tracy, two-time Academy Award winner. He won his first Oscar for 1937's Captain's Courageous, and then his second for 1938's Boys Town. A great movie. Boys Town is an awesome movie. He was also nominated for 1936, San Francisco, 1950, Father of the Bride, 1955, Bad Day at Black Rock, 1958, The Old Man in the Sea, 1960s, Inherit the Wind, 1961, Judgment at Nuremberg, and then a posthumous nomination for 1967's Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. Have you seen any of those, Josh?
I've seen clips from Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, and some of the other ones sound familiar, but I'm not too terribly familiar, but that's okay. I've still got some time left on this earth, so that's still more time to watch the movies. I mean, there's really almost nothing I won't watch. I've definitely got some wrinkled brows when I've told girls I won't watch romantic comedies with them, and I still stand by that. So, unless they can trick me like Edgar Wright did, sneaking that stuff into Shaun of the Dead, yeah, you can count me out of that. But I mean, movies are a great thing. They're a great, bit of escape to whatever. And if you can develop an appreciation for movies of all genres, you can find something in there that you'll enjoy.
Yeah, you're right. I'm kind of with you on the rom-com thing. I don't know if you checked out our failure to launch Beyond the Bad, but yeah, Caleb and I kind of ripped into rom-coms, and yeah, I detest that genre for the most part, but everything else I'm pretty much open for. Um, I've seen of the films I just listed. Boys Town was great. Inherit the Wind is a great watch. Judgment at Nuremberg is one of the most intense courtroom dramas I've ever seen. And Guess Who's Coming to Dinner is a great social drama. Um, Spencer Tracy was just, one of the first like real character actors who just loved the work and delivered every time. And his role as Matt Devereaux is a strong patriarchal character who just wants to see his sons get theirs, but not at the sacrifice of his own power. You had mentioned that it had similarities to King Lear.
Yeah.
And I find it funny because Austin and I just did Ran on this show like 2 weeks ago, which was also King Lear. So it's kind of funny that like that was a Japanese version, and now here's the Western version of King Lear. It's funny. I kind of want to just go like watch regular King Lear.
I mean, I'm not the biggest student of Shakespeare, but I think that says something about the stories that Shakespeare created, and how, again, what I was saying before about how you can take an idea and put it into a genre and then have fun with it. Like a lot of people get too narrow-minded when they think about Westerns and what a Western is or what a Western should be. And I think if you can work within those limitations, you can find a lot of things to explore and a lot of area to have fun with. Because I'm pretty sure a lot of people going to see this movie weren't expecting some of the scenes that happen in there and some of the dilemmas that some of the characters are going through just on a personal level with, coming to terms with their identity and how that impacts them in the society that they're living in. And I mean, we're talking about 1954. Like, we all remember what that, well, we don't all remember because we weren't alive, but like looking back, like that social climate was not really there to support, people of color, women, so like the fact that those things were brought up does kind of make this a pretty timely movie even then, and especially now. It's like you look back on that, I was actually kind of impressed with it.
Well, genre films have always been able to tackle social issues in a way that is disguised. And, horror movies do that all the time. Westerns do that all the time. Because you're not thinking about, oh, this is a movie about race. You're like, oh, look at the cowboys. And I love that, filmmakers have been tricking people with that since the beginning of film. I love that. And that, I think, is a good segue into our first activity of the night here. In honor of Broken Lance, we've decided to prep a list of our personal top 5 favorite Westerns. It's a broad genre. Westerns are, people have different definitions of what a Western is in film. I'm excited to see what you've included on your top 5. And we're going to spotlight some films here that we like and we think are worthy to be considered the greatest. So why don't you start us out with your number 5?
So if I'm going to go bottom to top, this is one that it plays more like a kind of like a thriller or like a heist movie, but really I got a lot of Western feel from it. I got a lot of spaghetti Western vibes from it. The setting, the main setting of it really does give me a Western feel. That is a movie that was released in 2017, and it was by the directing duo of Helene Catet and Bruno Forzani, and that is Let the Corpses Tan. That movie concerns a group of robbers who had taken some gold from a truck, and they're all hiding out, trying to figure out what to do with it and how they get away with all of it. as usual, that plan gets complicated, and then somehow the cops worm their way in, and then there's a shootout. People start betraying each other left and right. And the thing about these two directors, they always direct as a duo, is they are huge fans of genre. They've made 3 movies that I'm aware of to this point. Their first one was called Eyzaguirre, and that is their take on a giallo. And they are very, very artistic with their films. Lots of montage, lots of intense colors, and their editing is very very artistic and thought out as well. And then shortly after that, they came out with a movie, another giallo, basically, with a very giallo title called The Strange Color of Your Body's Tears. And that's another really, really good one. I think you should kind of be a little bit seasoned, and I say this not in a snooty way, of like just trying to understand that most foreign films don't really play by the standard traditional Hollywood narrative. So like I said with Eyzaguirre, it's a lot of montage. There's a lot of just, it's a very visceral experience watching their movies. Same with Let the Corpses Tan, even though Let the Corpses Tan is a little bit more straightforward, but it manages to get some really trippy sequences in there. You're just like, everything like matters in that movie. It's like little things that you're seeing, they kind of circle back around. And then there's a whole like trippy sequence where there's some woman there and she's getting like pelted with gold dust by some people that you don't even know who they are, really, like what's going on. And it's a mind fuck of a movie, but I really, really enjoyed it. If you haven't seen either of those movies, out of the 3 of those, I think The Strange Color of Your Body's Tears is probably my favorite. Mostly because I am a big fan of giallo, and that one is like really, like, it's very hypersexual, it's very violent. The editing, the colors, all of that is just like, it's hitting all of my sweet spots when I'm thinking about giallo, and it's quite a ride. I highly suggest you check it out. But yeah, that's my number 5.
Yeah, I saw you you posted I think a review or something on Letterboxd about this, and I was curious from the title. I'm like, oh, that sounds freaky. Let's just maybe have to check that out. Nice, starting out strong. My number 5 is, in my opinion, the best movie that came out of the pairing of John Wayne and John Ford. 1962 is The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. This movie fucking rocks. This is it completely subverts expectations, because at that point you're like, oh, John Ford, John Wayne, he's the hero. Liberty Valance is the bad guy. Wham bam, I know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen. We got the added addition of Jimmy Stewart as this, bleeding heart, wide-eyed young attorney who's like trying to make a difference, and he gets mugged by Liberty Valance, this piece of shit outlaw, and he wants to do something about it. But John Wayne's this old gunfighter who's like, what are you going to do? This is how things work here. And Liberty Valance decides, I don't like this young upstart, I'm going to kill him. And this is all being recounted by Jimmy Stewart as, who became known as the man who shot Liberty Valance, became this hero who saved this town from this evil son of a bitch, played magnificently by Lee Marvin, by the way. And it just unfolds like a campfire tale, and it's really good. And it's one of John Wayne's greatest performances, because he's finally playing against type. He's not this, invincible hero. He's a worn down gunfighter at the end of his road who's like just trying to do one thing right. And I love seeing him do. I'm so glad he agreed to do that. It's the movie that everyone who says they hate John Wayne needs to see, so they can understand kind of why he became this American icon. So yeah, I watched this a long time ago for a Weird Shit Wednesday on John Wayne, back when we were still doing that on FILMGAZM. And I fell in love with this movie. So I wanted to start with this.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's actually on my list. It was one of my top five.
Ah,
But you also know that having John Wayne in a movie, you had that expectation, like you said. I think it shows what a great director John Ford is, that he could get John Wayne to play against type and still turn in like I agree with you. It is his best performance. It also has one of my favorite quotes in a movie ever. Do you know which one I'm talking about?
it's been like 3 years. I do not remember specific dialogue, but I want to hear this.
Okay, so it's I think it's Jimmy Stewart that's saying it towards the end. He's saying when the truth becomes legend, print the legend. That shit right there. That when I heard that the first time, I was like, oh shit, that is some great ass writing. Holy shit. Because it says so much with so little, and you realize that has happened throughout history, to the point where you're not even sure the history that you're getting is facts, because a lot of it is like, like they say, history is written by the winners. So how much is the actual truth that we're getting? And I think that's one of the best things, because like you said, this movie's told, it's told to you secondhand. It's coming from a guy who's telling you everything that happened. And even still, you're just like, is it true? And he's like, well, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But if it isn't, it's up to you. But if you think the legend is better than the truth, then just print that, because it doesn't matter at that point. People are going to accept it.
Yeah, it's freaky, looking into history and seeing like, what have we really, like, how much of it have we really been told? Like, what really happened? How did it happen? Who are the real heroes? Who are the real villains? We're so removed from so much of that at this point, it's just, they're barely coherent as real people to some people. And yeah, I love that idea of just, even Jimmy Stewart admitting, like, at the end of the day, it's a pretty good story, huh? Like, that's great. Yeah, that movie blew my fucking mind. I didn't know that Wayne had it in him. I didn't know Ford had it in him. It's unlike anything else they produced together.
Yeah, totally. When I told my grandfather I saw that, he was like, you saw that? Like, did you like it? I was like, yeah, it might be my favorite John Wayne movie. He's like, well, I don't know if I agree with you there. He's like, but I'm glad you saw it. And I was like, I don't know, man. I was like, John Wayne and Jimmy Stewart are really good in that. I mean, I can't help it. It was great. I mean, and Lee Marvin too. Like, my dad had showed me what wasn't he in the Dirty Dozen? Wasn't Lee Marvin in it? Yeah. So like, and I told my dad that I'd seen it, and he's like, oh man, Lee Marvin's great in that. He's a total asshole. I'm like, yeah, he is. So I'm like, you get those little bonding moments where, like, my dad might not totally understand my love for movies, but when we can talk movies, that's when we have these really good conversations. And I was very happy that I could kind of like have that moment with my grandfather, because like he had like a painting of John Wayne in his den. Like the Duke was everywhere when I was a kid. I couldn't look one way or the other without him like smiling down on me and shit. It's a little creepy, but
yeah, that's how John Wayne fans are not just casual fans. If you love John Wayne, you like, they worship him. It's weird. Like, very few celebrities in American history or world history have had that kind of fervor. It's like, Elvis and John Wayne. It's really strange. But yeah, cool that we had overlap. I didn't know we were going to have overlap. That's cool.
well, it might not be the last, but we'll find out.
Yes, indeed. What is your number 4?
So my number 4 because the Man Who Shot Liberty Valance was a little bit higher up for me, but my number 4 is going to be a movie appropriately titled 4 of the Apocalypse. That is a spaghetti western directed by one of my favorite Italian directors, one you and I are quite familiar with, because we did quite the podcast about his other movie, The Beyond. And that was done by Lucio Fulci. He did team again with Fabio Frizzi for the score. So, that 1-2 punch of Fulci with his directing and his compositions, and the way he presents his images on screen with Frizzi's music. It's very, very good. It's about a group, three men and one prostitute who are kind of trying to get rid of the local bad guy in their town, and they're kind of like this gang of misfits, basically like going up against this large gang. And spaghetti western is going to be ultra violent, but then with Lucio Fulci making a spaghetti western, like it's next level stuff. It's not like on par with like his horror movies, but like it's a hyper violent movie and it doesn't hold back. I'd first seen this as I started to dig around Fulci's movies, and I think I saw this right around the same time I saw his sword and sorcery movie. It's called Conquest. And you really start to understand that like Fulci knows how to work genre movies, and that's his like favorite playground. So For the Apocalypse, I highly recommend you find it, check it out. It'll be worth it.
Hell yeah, I got to put that in the book. That sounds exciting. Fulci doing a western, that's very intriguing. I have a feeling that's going to be really cool. Neat. Yeah, I'll be sure to see that. My number 4 is the first western I ever saw, not counting Back to the Future Part 3. First like official western I ever saw. The 2007 remake of 3:10 to Yuma. Christian Bale versus Russell Crowe, good versus evil on the frontier, and what will win out? Honesty, integrity, or just pure outlaw assholery? And I rewatched it recently, and this fucker holds up. This is one of the greatest remakes of all time. It is so good. James Mangold helms it, and he's just letting these guys do what they got to do. It's got a great supporting cast. Ben Foster in one of the most evil, sadistic roles he's ever played. I love this movie. The score by Marco Beltrami is amazing. This was up for like 2 Oscars. I really want to do it on this show one day. But yeah, it's just an engaging adventure of just, we got to get him on the train. And we got to get him on the train before his gang comes and kills all of us and takes him. And that's the whole movie. And you just can't help but look away and get engaged. The characters are well written. The plot is remarkable. And yeah, it's a wonderful movie.
Yeah, I haven't actually seen the remake. I had seen clips of the original when we were doing this whole section on westerns and whatnot, and I was really fascinated by that movie. And I think from your description, I might just have to check it out. I did wind up seeing the remake of The Magnificent Seven, and for me, I didn't like it as much as the original, obviously, because I mean you can't really fuck with that movie. So I mean, call me partial to, the source material, but yeah, I'll definitely have to check that out one day. I actually do enjoy westerns. I do have an honorable mention for one that I was very torn about getting it on the list. So once we finish up, I'll throw it out there for you, and it might be a little bit of a surprise.
I have an honorable mention as well. So cool. Yeah, I have not seen the original of this. I really want to. But this was, this one holds a special place for me because this was my introduction to the Western, and I never looked back. It's such a cool movie. All right, number 3.
Number 3, apparently, like I told you, I'm very partial to spaghetti westerns, and this is another one. It is Fistful of Dollars. Directed by the legend Sergio Leone, with the score by another legend, Ennio Morricone. And, it's got Clint Eastwood in there as the man with no name. And this is one of those, like we had talked a long time ago about how there's only so many stories you can tell. And this is absolutely one of those. A stranger comes to town, and boom, you've got the setup for this movie. It's a classic. I don't know many film fans who can't look at an image from it and be like, oh yeah, that's A Fistful of Dollars. I mean, your boy Marty McFly used this movie as inspiration to save his own life in Back to the Future 3. So just saying, Marty, if Marty knows this is good, that's good enough for me. I feel like I'm in good company.
Dude, the Dollars trilogy kicks ass. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts. It is a great series of movies, just pure, Italian, semi-American Western vibe. That's just perfect. It gave the world Clint Eastwood, and then from there, the shit we've gotten because of that has been fantastic. I think my favorite's still The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, but I do enjoy the other two, Fistful of Dollars and For a Few Dollars More. All three are solid films. And I have no Eastwood on my list, so I'm glad we got him represented on your list. I'm glad we can bring him up.
Nice.
Solid. What do you think about the whole, Yojimbo versus Fistful of Dollars thing?
Wait, what's the controversy? Are they trying to say there's like they're too similar or somebody's stealing from the other?
No, Leone was straight up sued by Kurosawa for ripping him off. Like it was a legit, like unofficial remake. Leone lost the case, and now the film has to like be labeled a remake of Yojimbo.
Oh, that's nuts. I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
I mean, look, one of our favorite directors, because I know we've all talked about him at some point, fucking Quentin Tarantino. He steals from everybody. He steals from every movie that he loves, and he puts that into his movies. I mean, for it to get under Kurosawa's skin is probably saying something. But then again, the Italians were not beneath. It wasn't beneath them to borrow judiciously to make their own movies. Caleb and I did that whole episode of Beyond the Bad about Cruel Jaws, where Bruno Mattei was just straight up ripping documentary footage, whole lines of dialogue from Jaws, most of like the setup from the first Jaws to Jaws 2 and Jaws 3, and like he just ripped everything off. And the Italians are very known for that. I actually kind of enjoy rip-off movies in their own right, mostly for the balls, and then second for just being like, how the fuck did you think you were going to get away with this? But I'm so glad you did, because I can't believe what I'm seeing. So I mean, the fact that you would have to like caveat that this movie was like a ripoff or a remake of Yojimbo, not necessarily a bad company to be in. Yojimbo's a fantastic fucking movie, but I also think that speaks to like just how broad that story of a stranger comes to town and he plays. Because how many movies are like that? We could probably go back and forth for a few minutes about movies that are very similar in that fashion. So, hey, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, like I know, Walter Hill did it again in the 90s with Last Man Standing, like, and that's, just considered kind of like the next step. You could do a whole fucking, franchise on just, the nameless stranger who wanders into town and pits two families against each other. I find it hilarious that two of the greatest filmmakers of all time had a beef over this. I love that. Cool. Fistful of Dollars. My number 3 is a Western we've covered on this show before. And one of my just favorite 50s movies, High Noon. High Noon. I've never met anyone who didn't like this movie. It is a Swiss watch. It is perfection in terms of storytelling, character development, and a giant fuck you to Joseph McCarthy, courtesy of Carl Foreman, the screenwriter who got shut out of production after he had alleged communist activities, and everyone who was involved in the production had wanted nothing to do with him, except Gary Cooper, who was like, hey man, it's going to be okay. And I love that. Simple premise. Gary Cooper is Marshal Will Kane, this U.S. Marshal who's just, taking care of this town for quite some time. His arch enemy is this asshole who's getting out of prison and is going to get his posse together and come and kill Kane. And Kane's like, well, that sucks. I need help. And everyone in town says, not my fight. And he realizes, wow, you assholes. Like, I protected you for God knows how long. I need your help. And you're just going to leave me out here. And they're all like, yeah, pretty much. And it's him just trying to get help. The whole movie is him trying to find anybody in this town who will back him up before the posse shows up to kill his ass. And you got Grace Kelly begging him to just leave, just be my husband. Let's get out of here. And he's like, I got to do what I got to do. This is this is my job. This is my last job. And the whole movie is built on anticipation. And then once, shit goes down, it's done so well. And the ending is so fucking satisfying. The fact that this was made in 1952, I equate the 50s mostly with just, being kind of backwards in terms of film due to the Hays Code and restrictions and what we were allowed to show, what we weren't allowed to show. So when you get gems that squeak by like this, I hold them in high esteem. And High Noon is one of the greatest Westerns of all time.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you can, like I said before, when you have those restrictions put on you and you can still turn out a quality movie that gets those things that you want in there and they're not overt, it's great. I mean, Hitchcock was all about doing that shit. He was very much for visual metaphors and things like that. I'm trying to think exactly what movie it is. It might have been North by Northwest. I think so. When at the end, Cary Grant's kissing, is that Grace Kelly in North by Northwest?
I don't know. I'm gonna find out.
I think it might be. But anyway, they're kissing on the train, and then the train goes through the tunnel, and you're just like, and this is one of the funny things from my Hitchcock class. My professor was like, "So, what do you think he meant by that?" And I like threw up my hand. I was like, I know. And she was like, "So what do you think it was?" I was like, "They were fucking." And she was like, "Well, I didn't expect you to say it so, so on the nose, but yes, yeah, Hitchcock was known for that." I'm like, Hitchcock's a dirty old man. Of course he was making a sex joke. Come on.
It is Eva Marie Saint in North.
Eva Marie Saint. Thank you.
But your point stands. Your point stands.
Yes. So yeah, I mean, anytime a filmmaker can do that and get around and definitely give a fuck you to the establishment, I got to give him props. And I don't think I've ever actually seen High Noon. I've read about it, and it was probably one of those things. Like, I think my grandfather might have mentioned it, or my dad might have mentioned it. It's like, oh, you really want to see a Western, you should check out High Noon. And so yeah, now I'm gonna have to. So you have put another one on my list.
My favorite thing about High Noon is how much John Wayne hated it. He saw it as the most he said, like in a magazine, like in an interview, it was the most un-American thing he had ever seen. He made Rio Bravo specifically as a response. He went to John Ford. It's like, we need to do something about this. America needs to know what a Western is again. So they made Rio Bravo as a fuck you to Gary Cooper and Fred Zinnemann, which is hilarious. So that movie is a spite film, and Rio Bravo is pretty good. But I love that, Rio Bravo led to Assault on Precinct 13. So like the ripple effect of Hollywood is just constantly making me smile.
Yeah. I mean, and to kind of, keep on with the Assault on John Carpenter loves Westerns, loves them. It's some of his favorite genre movies. I mean, he doesn't hide that fact either. So I think he references John Ford as like one of his favorite directors. So, that to me, it's no surprise that he would take inspiration from any Western and use it in his own movies. I mean, fucking Ghost of Mars is his closest thing he got to making a straight up Western, I guess. Well, no, he did make vampires, and that was that kind of had Western vibes to it as well.
I still have to see Vampire. There's only a handful of Carpenter films I still have to watch. Vampires is one of those. I gotta get on.
Yeah, I kind of like the concept of it, to where like, vampire hunting is kind of turned into a business, and James Woods is just right in there, like, cashing in on it, but he's also working with the Catholic Church, whom he despises and makes no bones about it the entire time, and takes offense to the fact that the Vatican has assigned him a priest to work with him. So yeah, some of it is it definitely hasn't aged well with kind of like how the women are treated in that movie. So you kind of have to just keep that in mind when you're watching it. It's probably not like it's probably not my favorite Carpenter movie, but I mean I watched it when I was on deployment, and I was like, because I hadn't seen it since the theaters when I was a kid, and I was like, I mean, it's not that bad. It could have been a lot better, I think, if Carpenter would have had a little bit more time. But I think to me that shows the difference of Carpenter adapting somebody else's work than him writing and directing his own material. Because when he has total control over everything, he never fails to turn out some real quality shit.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, regrettably, can never do a Carpenter movie on this show. He was never even nothing, no technical award, nothing ever. Carpenter has never been respected by the film community, so to speak, and that's just a fucking travesty.
Yeah, I mean, he's inspired so many filmmakers and is regarded quite highly by a lot of directors who do get Academy recognition. And if that isn't reason enough to say fuck you to the Oscars, I mean, I could give you guys some more. So just let me know, listeners, in the comments. Engage us on social media. If you need some more reasons, I got plenty.
I mean, just the fact that The Thing does not have a win for best visual effects or best makeup is criminal. And that's just one. Escape from New York should totally be up for screenplay, for actor, for Kurt Russell. Like his film should be peppered with Oscars because they're amazing. But quality, regrettably, is not the first thing that gets looked at with the Academy.
No, of course not.
So what is your number 2?
My number 2 is Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. So we have already touched on that. Yeah, so I mean, I don't know what else more we need to say about it, but yeah, that was my number 2.
Well, sorry to take the wind out of your sails there.
No, it's quite all right.
It happens. It is a great movie, though. I urge you guys to check that out if you can get a hold of a copy. I don't know if it's streaming anywhere, but I have a Blu-ray because it's a great movie. My number 2 takes us to 2012 to our man Tarantino, Django Unchained. Oh boy, this is my favorite film on my list here. It's one of the few Westerns to deal directly with slavery, which was, has pretty much been erased from cinematic history in terms of, the Western. That doesn't come up often. And Tarantino takes the horrors of slavery and morphs them into a revenge thriller that is beyond engaging and so well written and so exciting. Features some of his greatest characters, maybe the most evil, sadistic piece of shit he's ever written. And I am including the evil Nazi from Bastards in that. Calvin Candy wins that award by a mile. This fucker, it scares me every time I watch this movie. Leo DiCaprio's performance as Calvin Candy freaks me out. It makes me uncomfortable. It's frightening. And I love the way this movie unfolds. I love every moment of it. I think it's brilliant. And I'm glad he did win an Oscar for this one. Screenplay, his second screenplay award. He should have like 12, which would be weird because he didn't write 12 movies. But yeah, I love this movie. I wanted to give it its props. It is my favorite film here, but number 1 for me represents the Western more than any other film. So that's why I went with number 1. But yeah, Django would be my favorite on a perfect day.
Yeah, I really loved it when I saw it. When the lead up to it was coming out, it was like I know that Tarantino's a big fan of the Franco Nero Django movies. Yeah. And at first, when it was first announced, I was like, oh shit, he's gonna make a Django movie. I was like, how is he gonna do this? And he fucking goes the route that he does. Jamie Foxx is amazing in it. Like you said, Leonardo DiCaprio is, for me, he kind of steals the movie. Just because he is so evil and he is so sadistic, and he does it all with a shit-eating grin on his face the entire time, and you just want him to get it so bad. And I mean, Samuel L. Jackson is great, just like he is in every Tarantino movie that he's in. If I had to pick between the two of them, though, I do kind of like Hateful Eight a little bit more. Probably because it's more in line with his love of spaghetti westerns. And the way he does it, the way he goes about making it, is a very Tarantino way of doing it, where he has it all centering around characters, and the way he's able to pull it off in one location and make it engaging from, and still being able to reveal things to you that you weren't seeing, and kind of still showing you that he was in control of this movie the whole time to an insane degree, makes me appreciate it that much more. That's like my slight edge with it. But yeah, Django Unchained is fantastic. Love that movie.
I love that Tarantino's like good movies are better than most directors' great movies. Like that's just exciting. Hateful Eight, I didn't like it as much as I have grown to like it. When I first saw it, I was like, oh, this is not bad. But every time I watch it, I like it more. Django, though, hit me immediately. I was like, this is already one of my favorite movies. And it's just gotten better with every viewing. That and Bastards are on even ground for me. But then, picking my favorite Tarantino is fucking impossible. I try to do that every time I bring him up, and I'm like, I can't do it today. Nope.
Yeah, I mean, it's like picking your favorite child or your favorite pet, or your favorite friend, and they're all standing in front of you, looking at you, giving you that eye, like, you better not pick them, you better pick me. And you're just like, I like you all equally, and they just throw their hands up like, oh, fuck you. That's such a diplomatic bullshit answer. It's impossible. And you're just like, I don't know what to tell you. I don't want to hurt your feelings. So yeah, no, I get it. Like, Tarantino has been one of my favorite directors for a while. So yeah, it is extremely hard to just say definitively which one is your absolute favorite. So I understand your hard choice there.
Yes, indeed. It was even harder to put that at number 2. I'm curious what you've got for your number 1 pick.
So you won't be surprised that it's spaghetti western. Probably won't be surprised to find out that it is also directed by Sergio Leone and is scored by Ennio Morricone. That is Once Upon a Time in the West. The first time I saw this movie, it blew me away. I was impressed from start to finish. I mean, you have Henry Fonda playing the most evil of evil bastards in a Western. He is just so bad in this movie. Like, and I'm talking bad, like in the, like, you don't want to meet this guy in an alley at any time, day or night. It doesn't matter. The way he's characterized, he's just a man in black. So, killing is his business and business is good. But then you also have fucking, of all people, Charles fucking Bronson making harmonicas badass. And the two of them coming to a head in this movie, like, I can't tell you how much I love this movie. I like all the Westerns I've seen, and I don't know if there will be one that will eventually knock it off this perch, but I do love it. And it was another movie I brought it up to my dad after I watched it, and he was like, oh yeah, that movie is really good. Like, Henry Fonda is amazing in that. He's like, what'd you think about Charles Bronson? I was like, I'd only seen him in Death Wish before then. So up until that point, I'd only known him as the Death Wish guy. I had seen like the first 3 Death Wish movies. Death Wish is fucking fantastic, but what Bronson does in those movies, it's an exploitation movie, so it's a lot more, everything's a lot more amplified. It's a lot more stylized. And with his character in Once Upon a Time in the West, he does so much with saying so little, and he was really effective at like using a harmonica in a way that you don't expect to like be a character, or almost like a way to like characterize somebody. And Leone is very, very good about, you hear the harmonica before you see him, and then next thing you know, he's sitting in a windowsill and you're like, where the fuck did he come from? it's like he was like this ethereal force within the movie. Kind of like the way like Michael Myers is in the Halloween movies. He's just kind of like a force of nature. He's there and then he's not. And he's just there to fuck shit up. And I can't say enough about this movie. It's been a while since I've seen it, so I feel like I need to watch it again. It's definitely one that is going to be in my collection. And like I said, I'm not sure what movie is going to come and knock that off its perch. But as of right now, this is absolutely my number one of all my Westerns.
Well, funnily enough, I agree with everything you just said because Once Upon a Time in the West is also my number one pick.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
That's fucking beautiful. I love it when that happens. This is a gem. This is maybe the greatest Western of all time. It's perfect. It's revenge. It's, indecency. It's love. It's lust. It's power. It's everything. And you've got Henry Fonda at the center of this as just pure fucking evil. It is great. I love, he made a career playing, friendly fathers and noble heroes. And then he goes to Italy and plays this rat bastard. And it's so great. I love Jason Robards as Cheyenne, this just, bounty hunter outlaw asshole who's like, all right, fine, let's take him out together. It's great. Him and Bronson are great together. Morricone score is fucking beautiful. And it showcases the majesty of a spaghetti Western and eclipses anything made in the States. It really is just a masterpiece through and through and defines the Western as far as like if somebody says to me like, I want to watch, I've never seen a Western before, show me a Western, this is the one I'm going to show. This is going to be the movie that explains the Western to people, that shows like, oh, this is what it can be. This is what we want to see. Yeah, enough said. This is a fucking masterwork, and I'm glad we both had it at number one. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's great. I definitely agree with you that this is a perfect kind of gateway into Westerns, because it doesn't go like so far over the top like most spaghetti Westerns do, but it rides that line and it gets there almost, but it's not as explicit as like some of Leone's other spaghetti Westerns and then other spaghetti Westerns that were made around the same time. So yeah, that's actually quite awesome that both of us had that number one. I'm pleasantly I'm real pleased, Connor. You made that work.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's great. I love doing these countdowns. What was that honorable mention that you brought up?
Oh, all right. So honorable mention. It is Dead Man by Jim Jarmusch. Oh. And I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's Johnny Depp is he plays this guy who's a writer and he's always mistaken for somebody else. Gary Farmer plays a Native American in it. And I think Tom Waits is in there. Iggy Pop's in there, kind of like a lot of the old familiars that Jim Jarmusch likes to work with. And it's really good. It's all in black and white, and it's really it's got a lot of deadpan humor in it, which Jim Jarmusch is known for. And it's not what you would expect from him, but it's like, if you just say the sentence Jim Jarmusch makes a Western, it's fucking Dead Man. And if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. You really get to see Johnny Depp like kind of have fun in this role. And he's weird because like his character doesn't even really like belong in the world of the movie. He's just like so out of place. But that to me kind of makes it infinitely more enjoyable. Gary Farmer's great. He's one of my favorite characters in there. So Dead Man was definitely one of my honorable mentions.
That's cool. Yeah, I've never seen that. I own it. I bought it on a whim at Half Price Books on Blu-ray, and I haven't watched it yet. But I will be getting to it soon. I'm working my way through my collection, watching all the stuff that I bought but never watched, and so I'll get there. I'll definitely be checking that out.
Yeah, let me know what you think.
Yeah, of course. Jim Jarmusch is a guy I've never explored. I haven't seen any of his films.
I will give you another recommendation for actually I'll give you two that I really love from him. Night on Earth is one of his earlier ones, and also Mystery Train. Those two are really, really good.
Sweet. I'll put them on the list. My honorable mention is a Western that came out towards the end of 2022 or 2021. The Harder They Fall on Netflix. This was my number 5 until literally about 20 minutes before we started recording. I was like, wait, Liberty Valance. So I had to make some sacrifices, but this movie fucking rocks. This is one of my favorite films of the year. And it's an all-black cast using historically like black cowboys and outlaws, using their names and kind of reclaiming their stories for a modern audience who might not know who they were, because a lot of these people were erased from history. And it's Jonathan Majors versus Idris Elba and their respective gangs. Like, it's fucking fantastic. It is a cool movie. You got a supporting cast of like, Delroy Lindo and Lakeith Stanfield and Regina King. And it's just nonstop action. It's a great revenge movie and didn't really get a lot of attention. Like it was, when it came out, it was a Netflix original. People watched it and were like, oh, that's cool. And then no one talked about it again. But I watched it and was like, holy shit. And I've been, I watched it a couple more times and it's become one of my favorite Westerns. And I regret it didn't make it into my top 5 last minute, but it is one I highly recommend.
Oh, no shit. Yeah, no, I'll definitely have to check that out. I always like when somebody will do something different with a Western, and I don't think I can remember an all black Western. So that should have happened by now, but hey, I'm glad we're getting one now. And you really had me at Jonathan Majors versus Idris Elba. So I'm sold.
And Elba is like a Liberty Valance style psycho outlaw who is just made a reputation for being a monster. And Jonathan Majors is the guy whose family he destroyed and has been hunting him for like 20 years. It's better. Awesome, dude. Cool. That was fun. I enjoyed that. So let's give some awards to Broken Lance, a Western that is good, but frankly does not come close to the rest of these. But that's not the film's fault. These other films for me are just better. So our awards, we have the Quentin Tarantino Award for the best line of the film, the Ennio Morricone Award for the best music moment. That could be a piece of the score, a needle drop. It's a 50s movie, so it's going to be the score. The Philip Seymour Hoffman Award for the best performance of the movie. There are options here. It's a pretty decent cast. And the Roger Deakins Award for the best scene of the movie. There's a lot of cool moments in this film as well. So let's start with the Tarantino. What's your award for the best line of the film?
So there are a couple of them, and I wish I would have written down the one that I would have picked, but I had to dig quick through and see if I could find some quotes from the movie. I did like the exchange when Matt Devereaux is talking to the governor that he essentially made, who is telling him that his half-breed son needs to back off of his daughter. Yeah. And they're like having this heated exchange, and this is from Matt Devereaux. And he's just saying, you're 56 years old and you're governor of the state. And who made you that governor of the state? I took you off an accountant's stool and pulled a pencil from behind your ear and made you a politician. I made you mayor. I sent you to Congress and put you in that chair. 56? You. 56. You owe me 30 of them. And I was like, damn, he just said he made you and you owe him. Not least of all, and when he follows up and he's like, you know what? Maybe I will tell my son, it's like, if he wants that daughter of yours, he can take her. I was like, holy shit. Like, if that doesn't like sum up who Matt Devereaux is as a man in this movie, I don't know what else does. Other than when he's on trial and he's like, did you hang those men? He's like, yeah, I did. Because they were thieves. And I was like, oh. Matt Devereaux gives no fucks. Don't steal his horses or his cattle. I'll fuck you up.
I went with the exact same exchange. Just Matt Devereaux just yelling at the governor, like, I made you, I own you. Who the hell do you think you are? It's just so great. Because at that point, we know what Matt Devereaux is all about. We know you don't cross this guy. We know you don't renege on a deal. And this governor's like, look, man, I don't want your half-breed son around my daughter. And Matt's like, wow, 56 years old, and you're thinking like this? Really? That's what we're at? That's your priority? What's wrong with you? And it's so great. And yeah, it's just, it, like you said, it defines the character in such a great way. And yeah, it was the only thing I wrote down, because I'm like, oh, that was good. So yeah, we're on the similar wavelength tonight. I like this.
This is good. This is good. Let's see if we can keep this train rolling.
Yeah. The Morricone Award for Best Music Moment. What do you got?
I really like the theme music to this movie. Like, anytime it comes through, and it comes through quite a few times in the movie, like that is my favorite. And not only that, I will have to say it is very very appropriate that this award is the Morricone, and we are talking about a Western right now. So kudos for that. But yeah, that theme music it got me. Like, I kept hearing it and I was like, nope, this is it. This is my music moment for this shit. And it keeps coming through like any good theme. It comes right through when you need it. And yeah, I love it.
Beautiful. I went with the opening credits. The music there is just it's very negative. It's like I'm about to watch a sad story, like an epic sad family saga is about to unfold before me. And the cinescope visuals of the setting just add to that, and it really sets you up for a dark subversion of expectations for what a 50s Western could be. Is really, I was expecting some clean cut, John Wayne, Montgomery Clift shit, but no, this thing goes hard, and it goes dark, and it talks about some taboo shit, and I appreciated that. And the music kind of sets you up with that. It's like, nope, this ain't your granddaddy's Western. This is the one he didn't watch. Very cool. Philip Seymour Hoffman Award. Who won the movie, in your opinion?
As much as I loved Spencer Tracy in this, I actually really enjoyed this is like my third time watching this movie. I really liked Robert Wagner in it. Like, he is the protagonist in this. He is the one that's like carrying, because I mean, when he goes back to his dad's ranch, it's almost like we're getting his memory of everything that's happened up to him coming back. So, it's almost like, whether we're getting the truth or not, going back to Liberty Valance, this is him, like, kind of like eulogizing his father and like remembering him as this grand character. And I think, the fact that he is struggling with the fact that he was never gonna, have a really good relationship with his brothers, because they always resented him for being his dad's favorite for one reason or another. The fact that he, was the only one willing to take the fall for his dad, and the fact that, he had to deal with the circumstances of his birth, and that was always something that was going to be an obstacle for him to overcome. And he never, just like his dad, he never backed down from any of it. He was the most honorable amongst his brothers. The other ones were, always trying to it was all about money, and for them, and for Joe, it was all about doing the right thing and making sure that, the family stayed together, and the family were what, kept going. And I think the fact that he did have the good ending that he did was the right way to go about that. I think if something would have happened and he would have died or something like that, because he was more like his dad than his own brothers were. He was the one that threw down the spear and was like, you guys are the reason why he's dead, and I'm never going to let you forget that. He was literally fighting his own brothers for all of this shit. And then that moment at the end where he's back at his dad's grave, and he takes that spear, and his mom's watching him from behind, from in the background, and he breaks it, and he's like, that's it. I'm over, and this is over. I'm done. I'm moving on. And she was smiling back there, all proud of him and shit. That to me is like a really great arc. And yeah, fucking Robert Wagner, Joe Devereaux, that's my man in this movie.
Right on, man. Yeah, I'm not going to dispute any of that. Wagner is fantastic in this, and a good protagonist that you want to see succeed. You know, he's got the world against him and he's got his family against him, and you just want to see him pull this off. You want to see him end up in the right place. And that's great. I love that, but I could not get past Spencer Tracy.
I mean, it's hard not to. It's hard not to. You love this guy.
He's a force of fucking nature. He commands the screen every film he's in, and it is so cool to see him as a hard ass cattle rancher who has murdered people for minor inconveniences. He's the scene where he's in court is being like, "Yep, I killed him. Yep, I'll kill you too. Step outside." Like to the prosecuting attorney, he's like, "Let's step outside and see who's really like going to win this." Like in front of the judge, like this dude gives no fucks at all. It's awesome, and yeah, just seeing him, get weakened by his health and have to beg his sons to not sell the ranch, and his sons being like, "No," to his face, to lose all that power. It's fucking heartbreaking to see him like that, because he's such a larger than life, almost caricature. And Tracy just delivered that perfectly to me. To me, he's never phoned it in. Everything I've seen of him has been lights out, and this just adds to that.
Oh, totally. I really liked the fact that like he knew what had to be done, and he was the only one who was going to see this through to the end, even if it meant killing him. Yeah. And he took that on willingly, knowing that he wasn't going to come back, and he did it. And you really have to give tip your hat to that kind of character in this kind of story, who is, even when Joe goes back to the ranch and it's all covered in cobwebs and shit, his painting still sitting up there, just like it shows the influence and the presence that he has, even in death. He still has, he's still there in that house, and he's still there, just like you cannot escape him. You can't.
Yeah, someone with that big of an ego and of a human being, they're never going to be forgotten. Their shadow's Matt Devereaux's shadow is going to loom over that family for generations. Great. The Roger Deakins, best scene of the movie. What for you is the standout scene of this film?
For me, it's totally like it's the scene that really kind of like sets everything off that happens afterwards. And that's when Matt finds out that his cattle are being poisoned, and he's like, "It's Copper. I know exactly who did this. Let's go." And he does everything. He has everything planned out. He knows exactly what he's going to do. And he goes there and he tells this guy, he's like, "Look, just get off my land, get out of here." And that's it. And the guy's like, "Oh, really? You guys shouldn't tell us to leave? I've got a big corporation backing me." He's like, "All right, fine. I'll go through the courts." He's like, "Well, do you know who the courts are going to favor? Are they going to favor you, or are they going to favor my employers?" And he's like, "You know what? Fine. I'll just kick your ass and fucking burn everything down. What are you going to do about that?" And he fucking does it. He doesn't just talk shit. He fucking does it. And I was watching that. I was just like, oh shit, this guy does not fuck around. He is going for it. I mean, him and his boys, like his stupid sons, are just like, "Oh no, Daddy, don't do that. There's too many of them." He's like, "Just shut up and keep moving. This is what we're going to do." And then Two Moons comes in with the rest of the ranch hands, and they're all flooding in. It's like, game on, boys. Let's go have some fun. And they just tear everything down. That, for me, was hands down my favorite part of the whole movie.
I agree. I picked that too. Specifically the scene where after Matt punches out the foreman and all the guys start swarming the family. And I love one of them, I think it's Joe, like one of them tries to pull a gun and Joe's like, "What are you going to do?" Huh? Like he just mutters that under his breath. But they're starting to walk out, and it's like a fucking horror video game where like you turn around and they're right here, they just keep swarming Matt and his family, and you're like, oh shit. oh shit, what's going to happen here? Who's going to draw first blood? What's going to happen? And then it all hell breaks loose. And it was so cool. And I kept the whole time I'm thinking like, this is not the end of this shit. Like there's going to be consequences for this. And it will, obviously there were, but I just love that, Matt in front of his children, in front of this whole damn town. I love the foreman tries to be like, well, you're going to put all these people out of work. What do you think about that? And he's like, oh, not my problem. It's just like, I don't give a shit. They don't work for me.
Yeah, fuck them. I don't care. I got my people to take care of back here.
Yeah. It's awesome. It's like the perfect fuck around and find out visual.
Yep.
So yeah, that was no surprise there. We both had that. That was a great scene. Right on. That was awesome. There's some awards for Broken Lance. This film is not available to stream for free, but you can rent it for about $4 on Prime Video and Vudu, which is how I watched it. I recommend it. It's a solid Western. Great Spencer Tracy movie.
Yeah, definitely. I think you can find either a DVD or a Blu-ray of it. They have one through Amazon. I don't remember the price for it, but you know me, I'm a big advocate of physical media, and you could do worse than having this in your collection. That's definitely a genre that I need to add more to. You've definitely given me a couple that I need to watch, so I'm definitely going to be adding that to it.
Perfect. Yeah, you gave me some good recommendations as well. I love Westerns. Westerns are so much fun. Great escapism. So real quick, let's go through the 2 awards that this was up for at the 27th Oscars. That was the year that On the Waterfront dominated, took home, I think, like 10 of these fuckers, including Best Picture. Very well deserved. On the Waterfront is a solid, fantastic movie. Start with Best Supporting Actress. The winner was Eva Marie Saint for On the Waterfront. She keeps coming up this episode. That's funny. She was up against Nina Foch for Executive Suite, Katie Hirado for Broken Lance, Jan Sterling for The High and the Mighty, and Claire Trevor for The High and the Mighty. Haven't seen those films. Katie Hirado and Broken Lance is okay, but I would absolutely give this to Eva Marie Saint.
Yeah, I kind of felt like she was underutilized in the movie. She was kind of there, really. Like, her most memorable lines were always ended with "my husband." Yeah. I really wish I would have been able to see more from her, because I do think she did kind of have a significant place as far as like for the other characters in the story. And I kind of would have wanted to see a little bit more from her because she was talked about in such a very reverent way. So why not give her a chance to shine?
If you really want to see Katie Hirado shine, definitely watch High Noon. She plays the madam of the local bordello, and she's very much a way much bigger character with a lot more to say, and that's kind of her finest hour, in my opinion. But she's not bad in this. Best Story is the one award that this movie won, and Best Story has nothing to do with Best Screenplay. This is a different, separate category that was given until 1956 when the Academy realized, why do we have 3 writing awards, and kick this one to the curb. Broken Lance took this. Philip Jordan got the story credit, was up against Bread, Love, and Dreams by Ettore Maria Margadona. Forbidden Games by Francois Boyer, Night People, Jed Harris, and Tom Reed, and There's No Business Like Show Business, Lamar Trotty. I have not heard of any of these films, so I'm going to go ahead and assume Broken Lance earned this one. It's a good story.
Sounds like it. Yeah. No, it is a really good story.
Yeah.
And I think it was actually based on a book too.
Yeah, it was. What was that book called? Let's find out.
I think it's like called I'll Never Go Home or something like that.
I'll Never Go There Anymore by Jerome Weidman. Yeah. A lot of Westerns are based off of those pulp, like dime store novels that you could get at, the drugstore. And they turned those into some pretty good movies. Well, there it is. Broken Lance. Yeah. Well done on your first Oscar Sunday there. That was a blast. This was really fun.
Well, thank you very much. It's I like to show sometimes that I'm not just all blood and guts and boobies. I do have a little bit more in my toolbox. So yeah, I'll be happy to come back anytime you guys want me to hang around.
Hell yeah, man. 100%. So before I highlight what we're doing next week on Oscar Sunday, housekeeping, check out our stuff, our socials, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Letterboxd. Check all that stuff out. And check out our website, filmgazm.com. We've got reviews, articles, trailers of upcoming films, and every episode of our shows. If you want to support the show through Anchor, you can click on support this podcast on your preferred provider. And just, we got content coming out the ass like all the time. So, odds are there's something there for you. If you didn't like this one, we cover pretty much everything. So take a gander. Next week, we are doing another premature Best Picture showdown. Austin will be out of town the following week on episode 140. So as we did with Parasite when I was out of town, moving it a week forward to do a Best Picture showdown together. This time we're tackling the 87th Academy Awards, where Birdman took top prize away from American Sniper, Boyhood, The Grand Budapest Hotel, The Imitation Game, Selma, The Theory of Everything, and Whiplash. It's a great year. A lot of really, really incredible films. A very significant year in Austin and I's development as film buffs. And we're excited to dig into Birdman and give that some awards and also talk the Best Picture nominees. Over on Filmgasm, Caleb and I are tackling an Australian horror film called Next of Kin. Very strange movie from what I hear. It's been equated to The Shining. I'm excited. I'm going to be watching it over the next couple days, and I know nothing about it, so I'm going in blind, which is always fun. Next of Kin, have you seen that one?
Yeah, I caught it during last drive-in episode, and Joe Bob always really gives you some very good context for the movies that you're watching. He also has a way of, if it's something you're not familiar with, he has a way of getting you engaged and kind of in a way like he's saying the things that you're thinking, and that's something I always appreciate with him. So yeah, it's not what you would expect from something that would be shown on like the last drive-in with like what at least the things that he's been able to screen on Shudder. It's definitely against the grain. I would say it kind of has more in common, like tone wise and pacing wise, with The Changeling than it would with something more standard, in like the exploitation area. It does have some pretty tense moments. So, and I haven't seen it since then. So I might try and check it out with Caleb if he sits down to watch it again and I'm around for it. So okay. Yeah, I mean, I always that's another thing I've been trying to get a little bit more familiar with is all of the the Ozploitation movies, films in general from Australia. I think that it's something that most people kind of take for granted. Like one of the most famous Ozploitation movies is Mad Max. And I think when you start to really dig in over there, you find out the Australians are really doing some interesting things. I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago now, I watched Dead End Drive-In, and that's an Australian movie, and it's actually pretty good. So yeah, if you find yourself wanting to watch something from Australia, I highly recommend that one. It's a pretty wild ass movie. It's about a drive-in that actually functions more like a prison for the troubled youth of this dystopian Australian future, and they're not aware of it until they try to leave, and they're either convinced to stay, very suggestively, or just out and out killed for trying to leave. And it's kind of all about them like trying to like come together and get out from under the thumb of the government and society that wants to control them because they're a quote unquote problem. So yeah, it's pretty enjoyable. I like it.
Well, neat. Yeah, I'm excited to dig into some Australian cinema. I haven't seen a lot myself. And Next of Kin seems like a good jumping off point. This one comes highly recommended by Austin, and I trust his judgment. So let's do this. On Beyond the Bad, I'm very excited. We're tackling the 2010 documentary "I'm Still Here," which showed the world that Joaquin Phoenix is either a terrible rapper and had to backtrack out of it immediately, or is not very good at a convincing hoax. So I'm still kind of on the fence about what the fuck happened there. And I'm hoping that watching this documentary and digging into this insane story can kind of give us some closure on one of the weirdest chapters of modern Hollywood history, where Joaquin Phoenix tried to convince everybody that he was abandoning a very successful acting career to become a rapper. Yeah, this is going to be wild. I'm so glad we get to tackle this story on Beyond the Bad, which is where this belongs. And it's going to be a blast. So good stuff coming for the week. I'd like to once again thank Josh for being here tonight. Go check out Birdman for next week. It's not streaming anywhere for free, but you can rent it, and I hope you own it. It's a great movie. And Austin will be back next week. We'll see you then.